Hey everybody, an architect asked me a question about CRM, so I thought I'd make a quick video. I've also created a template that you can copy and use for your practice. And this video is going to be walking through that template, how to use it. So CRMs, which tools should we use for our CRM? There's so many out there. Architects in general don't really have that many leads to handle, so it's best to keep it really simple and easy to customize, easy to use, and most importantly, free. I don't think you should really spend a lot of money on a CRM unless you have really sophisticated needs and you need it to do very, very complicated things. But in most cases, small architecture practices, it can be as simple as a tool like Airtable, which I'm going to use in this video, or you could just use a spreadsheet. But I'll go ahead and show you the template that I've made and show you what it does. So this tool is called Airtable. Airtable is basically Excel, but hosted in the cloud, and it does some fancy things. It can connect to some interesting tools. So for example, you could set up a connection using Zapier, which will allow you to connect your Squarespace website or your WordPress website to your CRM so that when leads come in, they'll automatically go into here. You could also set up a connection so that when you label an email in your inbox as maybe lead, it will also automatically go into here. So that's why I'd recommend Airtable. I'm not going to get into the whole Zapier thing in this video, but it just sets you up so that you can do some pretty cool things like that later. So let's walk through the three tables of this CRM. There's opportunities, interactions, where you track kind of points of contact with these individuals. And you've got your contacts, which are your potential clients, your prospects, with their name, their email, their phone number, the opportunity that they're connected to, so the project, and the interactions, which is the list of interactions you've had. On the opportunities table, we've got the opportunity name, which could be the name of the project. Maybe it's their street, maybe it's your job code, maybe it's just a number, whatever you want to make it. The priority, how big of a priority is this project? I've created options from very, very low to very high. The status, which is what stage of the pipeline is this opportunity at? Initial contact, qualification, meeting, proposal, closed won, and closed lost. These are just standard. You can adjust these for your firm. The contact is a reference to the contact table. The estimated value is approximately the fees that you would make from this project. So I didn't want to put a column for the project budget, then do a percentage. You could do something like that, but in this case, let's just say it's going to be some dollar amount. Now I've created a formula for the probability. This is the probability that this project is going to close, and it's based on the status, which stage of the pipeline is the project at. And as you go further along, I'm going to give this a higher percentage. These are the percentages that I've calculated for this formula. So here is the formula that's in that cell right now. It basically says that an initial contact has a 10% chance of becoming a closed client. Qualification stage, 20%. Meeting, 30. Proposal, 60. Closed won, 100. Closed lost, 0. You can play with these numbers by adjusting these parts of the formula. So initial contact, 0.1, 10%, maybe it's 0.15. Maybe qualification is 0.3, maybe meeting is 0.4. You can make those changes and it will change how this calculates. We've got the expected close month, which rather than doing a particular date, I said, roughly speaking, you think that if we close this, the project will start in this month. And we'll get to why that can be useful. And then finally, we have a formula, the weighted opportunity value. So this is basically taking this percentage and multiplying it by the contract value so that you can see roughly at this point in time, this will be worth this much. Approximately, this is the weighted value of this opportunity. We've got the last contact, which will summarize of all the interactions with this client. This was the last time we had an interaction with them, the most recent time we had an interaction with them. We've got a quick summary of the interactions, and we've got the date that this record was created. Okay, let's go to the interactions tab really quickly. It's simple. The name of the interaction, which can just be, whatever you want it to be. The type, I have 3 options at the moment: in-person, phone, or email. The when, the date that it happens, so you can select a date. the opportunity that it's linked to, the contact that it's linked to, and then any notes about that interaction that you want to put in a longer note field. Okay, so let's quickly touch on what you can do and the reason that we can use this probability thing and the reason Airtable can be so great. So it's all about views and grouping in Airtable. So for example, if you click on group, you can select a field to group by, and you could say expected close month. And what that will do is create these groups that have their own individual sums. Okay, so what you can look at would be April, May, June, July, and you can start to see your pipeline of how many projects you have closing in those timeframes approximately, so you can get an understanding of when you might be planning out your projects for the following, 6 months, 12 months. You can group by, status. You can see which projects are at each stage of the funnel. You can group by anything you want to group by, which is fantastic. You can also change your view. So you could create what's called a Kanban view and group it by maybe status. So then we can see initial contact, qualification, meeting, proposal, and you can move these cards from column to column and it will update your records. So that is extremely useful. So I'll put that there. I'll leave that in the template as well. So let's go through the process of creating a new job. So we've got a new opportunity, and I'll show you kind of the process of how you would do this. So let's give the job a name. Let's call it Jane's house. We're going to say it's very high priority because Jane's just amazing. The status is, let's say it's at the proposal stage. The contact, we go to add a contact. We need to make a contact for Jane. So we create a new contact. We'll say Jane McDonald. Her email is jane@gmail.com. Her phone number is 02 9333 3333. She's linked to this opportunity. Perfect. Cool. We can exit that. So now we've got Jane. And if we see on the contact page, Jane McDonald is there as a contact. We're going to say the estimated value. Let's say it's $65,000 in fees. And because she's at the proposal stage, the probability has been calculated at 60%. And we think that it's going to close in January. So we have a weighted opportunity value of $39,000, 60% of 65. And we don't have any interactions logged yet or a last contact. So let's go do that. So we've got an interaction. We've got basically, let's say lunch with Jane. Now we're coming into a proposal it's at proposal stage, it's kind of late. So you'd have a whole series of interactions, but we have this in-person lunch with Jane. We had it on, it was last Wednesday, the 20th, linked to the opportunity, Jane's house, and the contact was Jane. Okay. We might have some notes, but that's okay. So now it's all updated. And then in Jane's house opportunity, we can see that the last contact was the 20th. And what we could do was say we wanted to work out, where we want to touch base with some of these contacts. We want to do some marketing work, do some sales work, do some reaching out, make sure that we're staying in touch with people. We could sort this field by the recent, by who have we spoken to the least, or what's the longest period of time since we've had contact. So there's a lot of things we can do there. We can add, more contacts and add them to the same opportunity. So we can say like Bob McDonald as well. We'll also have, we'll have his information in there so that we can keep track of things. Bob@gmail.com. Say he's got the same phone number as Jane. Add it to Jane's house. And then we could have maybe an interaction where we'll have coffee with Jane and Bob in person. It was yesterday. Opportunity, Jane's house, contacts, Jane and Bob. Okay. So it just allows you to have some really good, some really good tracking of how things are going. And now that we've got, a couple of different opportunities in here, we can group by status again. We can see at initial contact, we've got this many people. Proposal, we've got these projects. We can see, we can group by expected close month again, I think, which is kind of interesting. So let's say, for example, we now want to change Jane. She's just at initial contact. Okay. So what we can see Oh, actually, a better example would be to keep Jane at proposal, but we can change her date so she's in January. Okay. Now, what we have now is we can see that these would be a list of all of our proposals grouped together that we expect to close in January. And we can see that the weighted opportunity adds up to $41,700 of new business. And if we can increase these numbers, that will increase our expected, kind of revenue figure or new business closed figure for that month. So look, there's just some of the things you can do. You can get very creative and imaginative with some of these different options. But I think as a template, this is actually a fairly good starting point for just a simple way to kind of keep your leads organized, keep everything together in one place. So I'm giving this template away for free because it didn't take much for me to make it, right? And I want to be able to help out architects out there who may be able to benefit from something like this. So I've created a link. It's linked in the description of this video or the post on LinkedIn. And when you open it, this is what you'll see. You'll see the preview version of it. And if you go up to the top right hand side and you click copy base, sign up for an Airtable account, it's free. You'll have your very own copy that you can change and do whatever you want with and adjust some of these fields and etc. etc. If you use a CRM and you rely on certain features or certain entry points that you think are absolutely crucial for a small architecture practice, or an independent or a sole proprietor or whatever your stage is, and you think that there's something that I should add to this template, let me know in the comments and I can change the template and I can make it do some new cool things to be a better fit for what you're doing. So let me know what you think and speak to you soon. See ya.